Hello and welcome to the Bookhouse. I'm Anik G. Malchian and I'll be your host for today. Probably. Today I'm reviewing a novella by D. James Fortescue called Sayeh and Zia. Like many independent authors, Fortescue runs his own blog where he posts his work and bits and pieces about writing. He's a great guy as well as a compelling writer, and he's always willing to help out his fellow author, be it through publicity or simply encouragement and support. Fortescue started writing a few years ago and has stuck mainly to the novella format. His first publicly available title was Mune and Mura, a historical piece set in feudal Japan. After that was a sci-fi thriller on Venetian Cloud Colony No. 9, and last year was the novella we're reviewing today, the Arabian Nights-inspired Sayeh and Zia. If Fortescue brings anything to his work, it's dedication to his subject matter. He's very informed and sets a vivid scene. I've followed his stories since Mune and Mura, and his progress as a writer has been astounding. He's become one of my favourite people to read. So today I present to you D. James Fortescue's Sayeh and Zia.
CE 500, the vast Arabian desert, a place of expansive sands, bloody conflict, the seeds of modern culture, lost treasure and unforetold adventure. A sandstorm blows hard against the stone sanctuary of a caravanserai. Strangers huddle together to wait out the storm, and then, on the caravanserai door, a frantic knocking, a woman's cry, "Let me in!" And so the doors are open, and a woman stumbles in. She's not only exhausted from battling her way through the storm, she's also heavily pregnant. Several decades later, in the rich Persian city of Susa, Lady Zia is a jewel in her father's eye. Zia dreams of adventure on the high seas and in the desert, but her father, the city's richest merchant, wishes her to take up his trade. Yet it seems Zia's fate will be neither adventure nor business. She is betrothed to an Egyptian merchant, Yafuba Baphomet, and has little choice but to marry the two rich houses. Yafu has a reputation for revenge and a violent temper. A gentle girl, Zia fears Yafu's violence will be too much for her, particularly as the marriage means a move to Alexandria, far beyond the reach of her family. Zia's father, although unwilling to compromise on the marriage, promises that Zia have the opportunity to travel with Yafu and get to know him on Arabian soil before the marriage goes ahead. Meanwhile, in the lost ruins of Petra, the sand pirates are plotting, led by the beautiful but ferocious Sayeh. Sayeh has led the sand pirates to notoriety in Arabian trading circles, preying on merchant caravans and vanishing with their goods into the inhospitable sands. But Sayeh has plans to leave the pirate trade forever. When she hears Yafu will be touring Arabia with a full caravan of tradables and his fiancé on board, she realizes it's a perfect opportunity to get rich and quit pirating forever. If she can kidnap Zia and hold her to ransom, it will be the greatest heist in the sand pirates' history. If she can get away with it. The story has some great characters. Zia, who I expected to be a brat, is actually a very gentle and mature girl who, pretty much without complaint, sacrifices herself for her family. Sayeh is completely the opposite, being a hard nut and hot-headed as well, but also very wise. They were both very relatable characters who gave the story a kind of red and blue, fire and water dynamic. There is, too, this fantastic sense of adventure. Deathly sandstorms and lost cities and camels racing through the desert. The consequences of every action the characters take seem amplified by this vast and daunting scene. Take a wrong turn in the city of Petra and you are probably dead. Incur Yafu's wrath and you're in for a flogging. We see these consequences play out badly for the characters several times in the story, and even when they happen to minor characters, we're acutely aware of what fates Zia and Sayeh could meet if they choose the wrong path. That weight of consequence added another layer to the adventure. It wasn't just Indiana Jones physics here, where someone could get stabbed in one scene and be fine in the next. There were real, frightening penalties for a slip-up, or for a bit of bad luck. And I just loved that. Of course, Fortescue's attention to detail and the scene he sets also helped with that impression. I had such a vivid image of ancient Arabia by the end of the story that I felt I could draw a map of it. How accurate it was, I don't know. Maybe not at all, but that image and that detail was there. The walls and the caravanserai and the food and the tradable items and who everyone was and how the various cities interacted, it was all very fluently done. Far more than I can demonstrate with these walls. But what stands out for me most of all in Sayeh and Zia is the presence of the author. We see Fortescue as much as a stagehand as a writer. He plays his stagehand role, moving the props around and setting the scene for his actors, as they mutually acknowledge and ignore him. Perhaps this is a device inherent in all stories released serially. The motivation of the author to continue with the story is bound to wax and wane, but with Sayeh and Zia I was particularly aware of it. There's this great struggle of the author underlying every part of the story beyond the first chapter or so. Should he continue? Is it worth it? What's the point of writing? Is the audience big enough? Do they care? Does it matter?
I felt this in Sayeh and Zia. I was acutely aware of it, like a stagehand aware that the actors are performing for an almost empty theatre. Should he bother? Does it matter if he doesn't show up on time, or if he shows up at all? We can sense this in the time between chapters and the tone of each new piece. Sometimes the scenes fit smoothly, the story's atmosphere remains pleasant and flowing and unbroken. Other times there's this almost saw-blade edge to the writing, this aggression. Like Fortescue is asking himself why. He's forcing himself back into the story. He's doing the best he can with it, regardless of what happens or who cares.
For me, this absolutely made the story. Fortescue went on to finish Sayeh and Zia and is now working on new projects. He conquered his demons. Just as we watch Sayeh and Zia unravel their lives and put them back together, so we watch Fortescue rise to the challenge and keep going. That presence of the author, particularly in a story that is not about him at all, it's thousands of years and thousands of miles and opposite genders away from him, gave it a potency and depth that it wouldn't have had otherwise. Or maybe there's just something really cool about sand pirates and lost cities and caravans full of treasure. Could be that.
Whatever the case, Sayeh and Zia is an excellent story, one I highly recommend. You can read it right now for free on Fortescue's website, linked in the details. If you do, be sure to leave him some feedback and let him know what you thought. You can also hear my reading for the story's opening in the last video. If you have a suggestion for a story to be read or reviewed, you can email me or contact me on Twitter or comment on this video or on my blog. If you like the video, please hit that like button and subscribe. It's obligation free, but it would really help. I'll be back on Monday with a reading of George Orwell's 1984. Until then, stay beautiful.
Okay.